Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, and the hey now, and the hey now. Welcome to hour number 3, man. Flying by, dude. Flying by on our first day. One of many. Lot to come, man. We got a big week ahead as we'll be breaking it all down for you. Return of the Wheel of segments today. I know everybody's excited about that. And whatever else is to come your way. If you want to get in on the show, 205 545 9950. 545 9950 is the number. You can call or text. You can also watch us live on YouTube. We're on YouTube. I'm actually wearing my Line shirt today. Looks good, doesn't it? Doesn't that look good? So y'all get in on the action. Underdog Fantasy, bringing you this part of the show. UnderdogFantasy.com and the Underdog Fantasy app. Tell you about it all the time. I played a lot of Underdog over the holiday break. Won some money, had some fun. You can be doing the same thing when it comes to these playoff games that we were talking about. Man, you want to talk about enjoying watching those games? Get some skin in the game by making some underdog picks. Playing's easy. You just choose if your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions. You get them right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can pick anywhere from 2 to 8 players. The more you pick, the higher the money's going to be, or however I'm trying to figure out how to phrase that. You get what I'm saying though. Win real money on Underdog. Play with as little as $1. All of this I've been doing for a very long time. Very glad to be partnered with Underdog. Love this app. Download it and use my promo code Hey Now, HEYNOW, Hey Now. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code Hey Now to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Hey Now. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 19 or older and present in Alabama. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS _.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Yes. All right, let's start this hour off with Jimbo on the line. Jimbo, what's up?
Not much. Just you can't believe anything you hear and none of what you see. But I did read an interesting take about the petrodollar on the real reason that America is speculated as invading in on to Maduro. Have you read any of that about how Kissinger made a deal in '74 about, with Saudi Arabia, but that all oil will globally be sold in U.S. dollars on exchange, no other currency, and all these other countries are trying to cut the dollar out?
I mean, I generally know about that. I don't know what particular you're referencing to that you read, though.
Well, I didn't know the validity of it. It was an interesting take, and like I said, I just didn't know if you'd read it or if you had a take on it on possibly that might have been the underlying factor of all of it instead of the drugs or anything else.
Yeah, I can see there's a lot of people saying that, and I could see that take. I mean, it's kind of, I guess it's it's almost low hanging fruit, and I don't mean that in a dismissive way, but I'm saying like it makes sense on paper for a lot of people that hey, we're just going in there for the oil to take over the oil markets. We want oil traded in the U.S. dollar. There's no doubt about that. But what had happened in Venezuela, as everybody knows, is that they had, in this socialist regime, they had taken over the oil companies. They had seized all the oil the government had inside the country, and then they were just kind of doing what they wanted with it. This is going to go back into the hands of the oil companies with the current situation we have. But I don't know. I don't know how that works out internationally. I don't know how that plays out with what you're referring to with Kissinger and Saudi Arabia and everything else. It's just it's hard for me to say to to go with what's happening today under the Trump administration, to go with what history tells us and assume that that's going to be the outcome we get because Donald Trump is just such a different animal and is always thinking outside the box. So I don't know.
Right,
We'll
right.
see. That's kind of my general thoughts on it.
Okay, I appreciate it, man. Enjoy the show.
All right, Jimbo. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, I always go back to that, and I know that's easy to do, but when it comes to traditional thinking, and this is kind of when you see protesters. I was looking at a picture of protesters out in downtown Birmingham over the weekend, and I was reading some of their signs, and it was just kind of a mismatch of defund APAC and quit poisoning our water, and seemed to be a bunch of different messages, but they were supposedly all protesting against Venezuela. There's a misconception that we're at war with Venezuela right now, which is absolutely not the case. As a matter of fact, the interim president right now is Maduro's vice president. So we haven't taken over a country. We're not currently bombing Venezuela. We don't have boots on the ground. But the general consensus for a lot of people are that, in fact, we have gone to war and we're planning on taking over that country, such as, for instance, Russia is doing to Ukraine. It is not the case. But also how this plays out in the future is something that we don't know because Donald Trump is so utterly unpredictable, which is why they were able to arrest Maduro in the first place. I mean, you think about this. It could be as simple as we have a criminal who had been indicted in the Southern District of New York, and we needed to snatch him up and bring him back to face the charges. What if it's as simple as that? What if it's not about destroying cartels or liberating Venezuela from socialism? What if it's just about convicting a guy that's a known hardened criminal? I cannot picture Donald Trump being a president of nation holding, of taking over a country and rebuilding a nation. We've done that in the past. We've seen presidents do that. How'd it work out? Not very well. We've watched over our lifetimes that happen. And so that's people's concerns. That's what people think is going to happen. But I don't see that. I don't see that with Donald Trump. I see Donald Trump as an individual that has no interest in nation holding. He has no interest in nation building. Maybe throw a Trump Tower on the Gaza Strip or something. I'm just kidding. I mean, he did toss that idea out there one time, but I don't think he was serious. But not rebuilding a nation, not installing a U.S. government into a foreign nation. He's not the president to do that. He's not. And so a lot of people are getting their panties in a wad about what's happened here and not understanding what went down Saturday. They think that we have essentially, everybody remembers the first hit of news that we got after 9/11, where we were bombing in the Middle East for the first time. Everybody remembers that. And it was a very different time back then. Like, we were pissed off about the Twin Towers. And so we were all, rah, rah, let's go. Bomb the crap out of them. Turn them into a parking lot. But then over the years, as you see how that all played out, turned into an absolute disaster and ended with the terrorist group that we were dealing with taking over as the government of Afghanistan. People don't want to see that again. I don't want to see that again. And I don't think Donald Trump wants to see that again. He's been one of the biggest critics of that sort of foreign policy for as long as he's been asked to comment on this stuff. And so what will go down with Venezuela, including with the oil, will be extremely strategic. Plus, you've got a Congress where most of which are against everything Donald Trump does. So he's not like he's a guy that can just go take illegal actions willy-nilly with no repercussions. Nobody's got a bullseye on their back quite like Donald Trump. Everything's strategic. Everything's thought through. Everything is 12 steps ahead. And it's going to be done in a strategic and effective way. We've seen it over and over and over again. And some people, no matter how many times we see it, are not going to come to the realization that the guy knows what he's doing. But he does. And he's surrounded by very smart people, including Marco Rubio, including Pete Hegseth. If these weren't very intelligent individuals, they wouldn't be in the cabinet. Trump's got nothing to lose. He's not running for election in 2028. So he's not putting people in his cabinet that's going to benefit him for the next election. He's putting the best of the best around him to make these decisions. General Raising Cane. The people that are most effectively going to execute Trump's foreign policy, which so far has been better than any foreign policy that I've seen in my lifetime. At a very unstable time in this country and this world's history, at least in my lifetime. Never seen anything like it. I support it 100%. Apprehending Nicolas Maduro and his wife was, in fact, the right move. I don't think there's any doubt about it. 205-545-9950. Quick break, more show coming up. Alabama Men's Clinic, alabamamensclinic.com, alabamamensclinic.com. I was talking about Marco Rubio's testosterone, which has got to be at an all-time high, which good for him. Maybe he went to Alabama Men's Clinic. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But not Marco Rubio, but you got one life. And it's too short for the not nows, the maybe laters, the I'll do it tomorrows. If you're noticing issues with ED or low T, then your relationship, your confidence, and even your career have probably already been affected. You got people online that promise convenience and, to be discreet, discreet packaging, but their treatments are generic and sometimes even unsafe. That's why there's no more excuses for you. Alabama Men's Clinic has medical provider focused solely on ED and low T. They do it the right way. No unproven snake oils or peptides without solid research. They've been doing this since 2012. They've pioneered men's health in Alabama and have been testing and growing to make sure you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatment. That's what Alabama Men's Clinic does. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to call them at this number, 205-598-7000. Make sure you mention Andrew McClain. Say, I heard you from Andrew McClain. He talked about how great and wonderful you guys are, and I wanted to see if I can get myself an appointment. If you don't want to call, because I understand there might be some sort of embarrassment by this. It's human nature, but don't be. These are the people that deal with it every single day. If there's anybody to not be embarrassed in front of with this issue, it's Alabama Men's Clinic. But you can't go to the website, alabamamensclinic.com. There is a tab on there that says to book an appointment. Let me see if I'll look at it right now. Yeah, you scroll down just a hair, and it says book an appointment. You can pick your day, pick your time right there on the schedule. You don't even have to call. Set it up, and then tell them about me when you get there. Say, I heard you from Andrew McClain, and let them do that consultation. They'll do some testing. They'll figure out where you're at, what it is that you need, and they'll come up with a plan for you. AlabamaMen'sClinic.com, 205-598-7000. That's 205-598-7000. If you felt like you fell asleep at 10:30 on New Year's Eve because you got low testosterone, call them. I'm just kidding, Carrie. I wasn't referring to you.
It's okay, man.
I don't think it was low T that caused you to go to sleep.
Probably a high alcohol level.
Was it?
The more I think about it, that's probably what happened.
Did you? What did you drink on New Year's Eve?
Whiskey.
What kind?
It was, let's see, which one did I have? It was called Chicken Cock.
Chicken? You had Chicken Cock?
Yeah.
Chicken Cock whiskey.
It was pretty good.
Wow. I don't think I've had that. Chicken Cock. And it's just bourbon or whiskey or what?
It's whiskey.
Interesting.
It may be bourbon. I don't know. It was a gift, so I drank it.
What does it taste like? Does it taste like chicken? Like chicken broth?
It tastes like a good whiskey.
Does it taste like chicken or the other word?
Tastes more like chicken.
No, more like chicken?
I wouldn't be familiar with the other word.
Okay. Well, I just wondered. I mean, I would imagine, like, if you taste it, you'd be like, whoa, that's what that tastes like.
Interesting. Yeah. It was good. It was good.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Little ice cubes.
AlabamaMen'sClinic.com. That was a very long, drawn-out way for me to tell you that. So, where are we at? Maduro's waiving his speedy trial rights through the March 17th hearing. We're just getting more information from the court, even though that's over, and Maduro's on his way back to the jail or to the prison. I'm not even sure where they're holding him at in Brooklyn. I think they're holding him in Brooklyn. Is that the same place that Diddy is at?
Yep.
So is it possible that Maduro and Diddy might be cellmates?
It's very possible, and both got their oil taken.
Yeah, both love their oil. That's for sure.
It'd be a good combo.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. In the wake of this, I'm just still going through some of the reaction. Maduro's military loyalists, they issued a threatening video to Donald Trump in the U.S., accusing the U.S. of colonialism while demanding the release of their captured dictator. Again, this narrative that we have taken over Venezuela in some way, shape, or form is not even remotely true. Now, Donald Trump has said that, yes, we are going to assist in the transition, but that's much different than taking over a country. In a defiant and heavily scripted video address broadcast on Venezuelan state television, top generals still loyal to Nicolas Maduro lashed out at the U.S., accusing Washington of colonialism while demanding the immediate release of the narco tyrant and his wife following Saturday's operation. Venezuela's defense minister, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, claimed the removal of Maduro was an abduction and a premeditated act of military aggression against the Venezuelan state. He went on to insist that Venezuela's so-called free elections in 2024 were legitimate, an assertion flatly contradicted by years of documented voter intimidation, opposition bans, rigged courts, regime-controlled election authorities. Like, you get all that. In a particular absurd segment of the address, Padrino Lopez attempted to portray Celia Flores, Maduro's wife, and a U.S. indicted co-conspirator as a persecuted moral figure, saying that Flores was a Christian woman and a woman of principles, claiming she was bravely abducted and led away in handcuffs, carefully omitting her documented role in corruption, money laundering, and cartel-linked activities. He also claimed that the legitimate governments around the world are rallying to Maduro's defense and warning that what happened in Venezuela can happen anywhere tomorrow. And guess what? Maybe it could. But here's my question. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? All right, we took Maduro. What are you going to do? Nothing? You're going to get on Venezuelan state TV and tell everybody how angry you are? You ain't going to do nothing. And as a matter of fact, the new president in Venezuela, which is just their vice president being elevated to president, interim president, Trump's putting her on notice as well. Her name's Delcy Rodriguez. And she's been, from Trump, been threatened with a fate worse than Maduro being captured, because she came out and started running her mouth. So the question remains, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Fresh off the decisive ouster of Nicolas Maduro, Trump made it crystal clear, play ball with America or face consequences far worse than the captured tyrant's humiliating downfall. On January 3rd, Venezuela's Supreme Court ordered Vice President Rodriguez to assume the duties of acting president. The court cited a provision for material and temporary impossibility of Maduro to exercise his functions. During a fiery press conference at his Mar-a-Lago estate Saturday, Trump declared that the United States will administer Venezuela for a period of time until a safe, judicious transition can be established. At the same press conference, Trump revealed that Rodriguez, Maduro's former vice president, had been elevated to the presidency amid the chaos following the removal. According to Trump, early communication suggested Rodriguez was prepared to work with the United States to stabilize the country and reverse decades of socialist destruction. But then in a televised address, she, standing shoulder to shoulder with what she called Venezuela's National Defense Council, condemned the U.S. operations as an illegal and illegitimate kidnapping. So Trump said, you better chill out or we'll come for you too. So Rodriguez says, we are determined to be free. What is being done to Venezuela is a barbarity. She accused Washington of orchestrating regime change under false pretenses, claiming the true objective was the seizure of Venezuela's oil, minerals, and natural resources. By the way, if we want that, we'll take it. All right? That goes for anybody. That goes for all of you. If we want it, we're going to take it. But instead of doing that, I mean, again, look at what... This is crazy. And people are going to buy into this garbage, what she's saying. Everybody is going to believe. They're going to take the communists at their word. But look at what Trump's done when it comes to getting natural resources and rare earth minerals and everything else from other countries. What has he done? Has he conducted military action to do that? No. He's cut deals. Cut deals that the countries are then happy with. And says, hey, we'll do this, this, and this if you'll do this, this, and this. Give us some rare earth materials, and you give us this, that, and the other, and we'll call it a day. And they're like, okay, where do I sign? He doesn't go and steal other people's minerals. He doesn't go steal other people's natural resources. So why would he start with Venezuela? We're already leading the world on multiple fronts, on almost all fronts. Why would we need to take over Venezuela and have that headache on our hands? It's not happening. We're going after a criminal that missed his court date. That's essentially what's happening. It's a damn warrant is what it is. She insisted that Maduro remains Venezuela's only president. She declared that Venezuela would continue Maduro's policies and never be a colony ever again. Both Venezuela's defense ministry and attorney general piled on with their own public smears against Trump and the military action that ended Maduro's reign of terror. Unmoved, Trump delivered a blunt ultimatum to Rodriguez. He was doing an interview with The Atlantic, and he said, quote, she'll pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro, if she doesn't do what's right. He also dismissed the left-wing hand-wringing over regime change. He says, rebuilding there and regime change, anything you want to call it, is better than what you have right now. Can't get any worse. So he says, y'all can sit here and call it this, that, and the other, but we're just doing what should have been done a long time ago and what many politicians have been calling for years. President of Action. That's what we call it. NOTOroofing.com. 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 That is my roofing company, and it's a new year, man. There's a lot of things in 2025 that you guys put on the back burner, and you said, I don't want to deal with it right now. I got too much going on. I got this. I got that. But with the new year, I understand you got ambitions. Y'all talking about getting healthy, being better with your finances and all this, that, and the other. We're all doing that. But don't let this one slip by. Your roof is so vitally important to your home. And if you at least get it inspected and know what's going on up there, you have made a huge step in the right direction. What I love about Noto is the fact that they give you a complimentary roof tune-up just because you invited them out for a free roof inspection. And they don't charge you anything. If you got a small problem up there that could turn into a big problem that they can fix right there on the spot, they'll do it. But if you already have bigger problems, if you need a new roof, if anything's going on up there that is not good, Noto can get on top of that and get it fixed in no time. These guys are so good. We've been partnered with them for so long, and I'm glad. I'm so happy to be partnered with these guys. As a matter of fact, I mentioned the black eyed peas and greens and cornbread that I ate. That was prompted by Chris from Noto because he sent me a picture of his, and I was like, I probably need to do that, don't I? He's like, yep. You get on top of it, which is what I did. NOTOroofing.com. NOTOroofing.com. 205-848-2299. That is 848-2299. Y'all hit them up and let them know Andrew McLean sent ya. Eric says, hey, Andrew, what if Maduro is hooked on his own dope that he's sending to the U.S. and he's about to go through DTs? What if Maduro's going through withdrawals and that's why he was so angry in the courtroom? He's withdrawing from the cocaine and the fentanyl. Could be. Rick says, so here's a thought. Iran or any other nation charges Trump with war crimes. They have done that. And they attempt to execute the warrant with the same tactics that the administration did to snatch up Maduro and his wife, knowing it would not be successful and there would be many dead Iranian military personnel scattered throughout wherever they tried to execute said warrant in D.C. or Florida. Then, of course, we will retaliate, and next thing you know, we are in the middle of a full-on war. Just thinking that this was not the best thing Trump could have done. No, I mean, that would never happen. Because while Venezuela is maybe important to an extent to Russia or China or Iran, they're not willing to stick their own neck out there that much for Venezuela. Venezuela was a useful puppet for these people. And sometimes they know as it goes, as things go, you know, your puppet gets ripped off your hand. And then you don't have it anymore. Then you got to come up with a new plan. Other countries would not dare go down that road, something such as doing something such as that. It would just, it would not happen. But I get it. I mean, I get the hypothetical that some other country comes in and tries to abduct Trump, which would not work, and those countries know it would not work. And our retaliation would be whatever it is. I got to say, though, when it comes to retaliation, nobody has done it better than Trump. And I hate to be the guy that's just, you know, drinking Trump's bathwater today, but I'm just thoroughly impressed with what he's done over the past few days. The decisions that he's made over the past weeks and months leading up to this. His response to hostile actions by foreign countries have been swift. They've been quick. They've been in and out. They don't involve boots on the ground. They don't involve occupation. They don't involve colonizing countries. It's a quick bada bing, bada boom. Hey, we're out of there. There's your message. Trump is a president of sending messages to other world leaders, such as FAFO, as you heard in the clip earlier. Other countries don't want to F with us. It's as simple as that. And so, while I understand that's a hypothetical, I don't think that would ever happen. Bubba says China has been using Venezuela as a proxy to stage an opium war against America with fentanyl. Absolutely 100% correct. Jonathan says, what happened to your Hey Now button on the soundboard? Do you have those over there? It should just be a bunch of different Hey Nows. I just want to make sure we didn't lose them in the transition from 2025 to 2026.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey now.
There they are. Give me a few more.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we still got them. Those are good news. We would do that. Usually what we do is on Friday when I do my initial Hey Nows, we'll start throwing those in there. But yeah, they're still around. 205-545-9950, 545-9950. Here's what, and I talked to my wife about this over the weekend. She's not a big fan of me talking news to her, but when there's big news, you know, I have to get in her ear because she's the only person I talk to sometimes. One of the first things that came to my mind when I saw that Maduro had been apprehended was that what will we find out about Venezuela when it comes to things that have affected us here in the U.S.? And I'm not talking about the drugs. I'm talking about things even larger than that. I'm talking about cartel ties and money transfers to the U.S., to the Democrat Party, to Democrat politicians. We've long talked about how there's almost a guarantee that cartels had been, in some way, shape, or form, funding some U.S. politicians and maybe even entire political parties. Why else, over the past 4 years, would the border have been wide open with as dangerous as that tactic was? What other logical reason could you have outside of the general, yeah, we're going to import all these people and they're going to be our voters and then we'll always get to stay in power? Outside of that, what other reason would you have to keep the borders open? Who greatly benefits from the borders being open? Not the taxpayer, not the people working city budgets. Cartels benefit. Cartels make billions and billions and billions of dollars from that border being wide open. And because they make much money, because they have so much money, there comes a point where you are so wealthy that you can buy anything. You can get anything done. You can buy any individual. You can say to yourself, well, you know, my representative's not for sale or my governor's not for sale. You want to bet? I bet, because I bet you can find a number. And so it would have made sense to a lot of people that the border was open because the political machine and the campaigns, which are oh so important to each of these politicians so they can stay in power, were being funded by the people who had the biggest interest in the border being open. Nobody had more motivation for the border being wide open than the cartels. Nobody. I don't care how much you think that borders shouldn't exist and that people should be able to come and go and that we want to save all these poor people from around the world. I don't care how much you believe in that. Nobody wanted it more than the cartels. And when it comes to that, they would be willing to do anything to keep those borders open. And if that comes in the form of buying politicians, they will absolutely do it. You already know these politicians sell themselves out. They whore themselves out to all kinds of different sectors of business and global finance. They don't care. You give them money, they'll do whatever you want. They'll vote whatever way you want them to vote. And when there's that much money in the hands of the cartels, they don't mind spending a little money to keep that gravy train going. So what do we find out from that when it comes to Venezuela? That may finally be revealed when it comes to information coming out of Venezuela. There's a long history of this. I can go back to May of 2016 when Nancy Pelosi, who was Speaker of the House at that time, visited the president of Mexico with other congressmen, including a little-known Texas congressman, Beto O'Rourke. Pelosi stated about the meetings that it is not clear what the discussions all entailed, but after this visit, the Mexican president was accused in court of being aligned with the Mexican cartels of taking a $100 million bribe from El Chapo at that time, and that the former Mexican president had been aligned with the Mexican cartels. He was accused of taking millions from the cartels. And so once they start aligning with these people, with these individuals, you can't help but think, what are these meetings about? What is the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who represents the weirdos of San Francisco, what is she doing meeting with the Mexican president, who is then convicted of taking millions and millions of dollars from the cartel. You had other individuals such as, well, you had high-end lawyers that represented members of the cartel donating large sums of money to the Democrat Party. You also had at least one Democrat senator whose father is a convicted Mexican drug trafficker, the guy that ran against Kari Lake. Like, there's not that big of a stretch to think that the cartels are embedded with Democrat politics. And maybe, just maybe, with what's happening with Venezuela at this point, we can get some answers on that front. My buddy Paul from Mandu, he asked me during the break, he's like, whatever happened to your megaphone? And I said, you know what? I haven't used my megaphone in a while. And I had plenty of opportunities to do that today. And so I dropped the ball on that. But for instance, like when Mexico or Venezuela's new president or whatever, when they're complaining about what we've done is illegal and you know, we shouldn't have done it, and it's blah, 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 blah. The answer is, what are you going to do about it? That's where I should have used the megaphone. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to do absolutely nothing about it. You're not. Nobody's going to do anything. We're over here making America great again. And making the world safe again, by the way. Mandu, speaking of Paul, Mandu bringing you this part of the show. Let me tell you about that real quick. One of the more exciting things that I've told you about over the past, I guess, 2 or 3 or 4 weeks was that those of you in Huntsville, you have your own Mandu now. And Tuscaloosa, you're going to have one very soon. Just in a matter of a few weeks, Mandu Tuscaloosa is going to be open. So it is 2026. Here we are. I've been talking to you for weeks about New Year's resolutions. It's very, call it cliche or whatever, but almost everybody that makes a New Year's resolution, it has something to do with their health. And saying to themselves, I'm getting in shape. A lot of it comes in the backside of Thanksgiving and Christmas. You overeat, you don't exercise, and, weather's cold, this and that. It just keeps you from paying attention to your health. You're busy and everything else. But now that those are over, now that we're on the other side of January, and those of you that have talked to yourself about making those resolutions, making that change in your life when it comes to your health, this is the perfect way to get yourself back on track. I'm going to go to Mandu today. It's going to be my first Mandu session of the year, and I've already told part of my resolution. I said I'm going to go up there and I'm going to kick it in high gear. I'm going to tell them, give me all you got, because I'm ready to really make things happen and focus on my health in a bigger way than maybe I ever have. And I do it all in 15-minute intervals. 15 minutes. I go 3 times a week. You can go twice a week, once a week, 3 times a week. Doesn't matter. Completely up to you. But the most important thing to know, 2 things, is that it's a 15-minute workout, and you have a personal trainer walking through every single step of this workout. It's over before it even starts. You get in there, you start working out, and then you're like, man, that was fast. It's already over. That I can't tell you how many times I've said that. It's much better than going to the gym, spending 2, 3, 4 hours a day, racking weights, having to move from machine to machine, waiting on people. Here, you get in there at your scheduled time, you get your 15-minute workout in, and then you're out of there. It's that easy. If you don't believe me, I want you to try it. Try it yourself, absolutely free with no strings attached, by going to the website, mandu.com, MANDUU.com, clicking that button that says claim your free session. That's not just the case for our Homewood here in Homewood. Our Mandu here in Homewood. It's not the case for just our Mandu here in Homewood, but the Mandu in Huntsville as well. You can get a free session there. It's all, again, right there on the website. If you want to call them, those of you in Huntsville, 256-808-0104. And for those of you here in Birmingham, 205-438-6003. 205-438-6003. Mandu has made such a difference in my life. And I actually had a memory pop up today that showed me doing my 150th session on this day last year, January 5th, 2025. I had done my 150th session. Now, I don't have the exact number. I can ask him today, but I'm well over 300 sessions since starting Mandu. And I'm going to keep on keeping on, man. I love it. 205-438-6003. Make sure you tell them that Andrew McLean sent you. Hour number 4 coming up next. A lot to get to. We're going to make that happen when we get back.